You found the WMIX Saturday Sports Show on AM 940 and WMIXsports.com. Cared for by Crossroads Community Hospital. The Saturday Sports Show has been recognized by the Illinois Broadcasters Association as one of the top radio programs in the state. That means the very best mix of local sports content is right here. From the powerhouse on Broadway, the Saturday Sports Show starts now.
Final weekend of June is upon us here in Southern Illinois. It's a beautiful day outside, fall-like almost, as we begin another edition of the Saturday Sports Show. Denny Zorwinski with Mike Richardson alongside Avery Barton pushing the buttons and Chris Hugo away on assignment. The Saturday Sports Show, of course, is brought to you by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
That's Mike Richardson here on this last weekend in June. So many things going on, even though you're probably thinking, that's the last weekend in June, what kind of things will be going on? But realistically, as we get going and get started here, Mike, it is the last weekend in June. Next week, 4th of July, will be over by the time we meet again. The summer halfway point for a lot of us educators who have the summer off, but still a very busy time. It's kind of like you're getting to the precipice of the top of the roller coaster before July 4th happens. You slide down that hill, and here we come. The fall sports will begin, and before you know it.
Well, it's the same way, actually, with the calendar year as well because of the seasons. I mean, we had the longest day of the year the other day, the first day of actual summer, so now it is starting back down.
Mm-hmm.
And it won't take long. We talk about these things all the time. We think we have a down period for a few months or whatever, and you have summer basketball and you get in a bunch of golf scrambles, and the next thing you know, high school football's knocking at the door, and as soon as that happens, we joke about, well, how long will it be before the big orange ball starts to bounce, and it's not too far after that you're talking Rome tournament, then high school girls and boys start. So it never stops. It goes year-round, as we all know. But we do think we have a little more time off than what we do, and obviously we don't.
Being the last weekend of June, of course, basketball and football rolls in the fall. The winter sports can never shop too early for Christmas. Started the day already. Anyway, I know. Got to get it done by time, Yes, Avery, I have already bought Christmas gifts.
Timing is everything. Timing is everything.
I'm already buying Christmas presents. Get it done early and get it out of the way. Speaking of getting it out of the way, it has been a wild, wild week in the world of sports. There's a lot before we get all of that, though. We'll get to the local stuff here. And there's things that we like to do here on the Saturday Sports Show, and that's number one is basically promote high school sports in general. And we have some people on this morning, obviously, interviews and everything else that promote high school sports. Our first guest this morning, here in about 10 minutes, will be Chris Curry of the Mount Vernon Gridiron Football Club. He's going to join us and give a little pub to the Gridiron Club here in Mount Vernon because they do such a wonderful job of doing things for the football team and the football program at Mount Vernon High School with head coach Jared Shaner and staff. And without them, that it would be hard to do what the Mount Vernon Rams football team and program does year to year. Another special event going on in Southern Illinois tonight is the DuQuoin alumni football game. Going to take place at Van Meter Field, the Sleeping Giant tonight, I believe at 5. And then there's a big auction at the VFW in town in DuQuoin where they're going to raise some money for the football program. And John Kirby is the guy from DuQuoin who has started that. He's going to join us at 8:30. Then at 8:40, we're going to have another guy involved in that, a guy who grew up eating, sleeping, and breathing the black and red and interlocking DQ. Then he played for the DuQuoin Indians, won a state title in 92, and then was a part of that. And then, of course, now as a high school football coach in the area. Heron football coach Jason Carnes will join us. He's participating in that tonight, and we'll talk about his experiences there as far as a high school football player. Then at the top of the hour, we're going to catch up. It's summer basketball time. We haven't talked to this guy in a while. We need to. And I know he's going to be in a good mood because the Blackhawks won the Stanley Cup this past week. Rick Metcalf, the head coach of the Cesar-Valera-Waltonville Lady Devils, will join us. Got a chance to see them in summer action on Monday night at Benton in that little Benton tournament that we had on, talked about here about a week or two ago when Andy Sloan, the Benton coach, was on. And got to see a lot of area teams, including Cesar-Valera-Waltonville, Hamilton County, Johnston City, Massac County, Benton, Marion, and also, as I said, Hamilton County, I believe. But I saw a bunch of teams there on Monday night. Now, Mike and I talked during the week, and a topic that's important to us we're going to talk about is something that obviously people in the education business, people in coaching, and now us as radio people, as we go out and also broadcast games, June 30th is tomorrow. That ends the fiscal year, finances and whatnot. We head into July 1st, start of a new fiscal year. And school cuts in athletics have been a really big topic around the area, Mike. We've heard of school fees, athletic fees. We've seen schools cut some things. We're going to talk a lot about that in the second hour, but boy, oh boy, you start reading some of the cuts that are going on at schools and schools charging fees. It is really amazing with the state and the financial situations of schools and the states in what is being lost. It's just from a sports perspective, what things are being cut.
Well, when you start a topic like that, I mean, immediately you have certain things that go through your mind. And the first thing I think some people just don't even think about is when you immediately hear that, you know that athletics is going to be taking place. That's all there is to it, whether it's going to now have to be separately funded by an organization through the school. You're going to have the fees that will keep it in place. But if you just put a blanket statement on and just say we're doing away with all extracurricular activity, well, that sends bad signals to the community, the high school, whatever. And you know, we can just go ahead and talk about it because I know we have in the past the Cahokia football situation.
Yep. And
I already know just because I work over in that area, I heard numbers as high as 10 to 12 to 15 players have already said that if they do not have football, they will move into the East St. Louis area and play for the Flyers. I mean, that's just all there is to it. It's East St. Louis seniors. So not only would you lose then the athletic part of it, then you're going to get more in a bind because now you're losing, if you can still call it state money, as we get just lower and lower percentages all the time down here. But then you're going to start losing per student that money there. It don't make sense. I mean, you think it's doing the right thing, but in the long run, I just don't think the verbiage is always right on people when they want to make these statements early about extracurricular activities.
Well, you look at some of the schools that have cut things, and we're going to talk more about this in the second hour, but, you know, for instance, South Central High School, or South Central School District in general, they're cutting a bunch of stuff. 6th grade basketball, 5th and 6th grade cheerleading, frosh soft baseball, all assistant coaching positions in all clubs gone. The fall baseball season will have 12 games plus the conference tournament. They'll limit to their games. And in spring, and we're talking about South Central baseball here, a traditional powerhouse, they're only allowed to play 20 regular season games and then the postseason. And that's a school that goes everywhere to play. So you look at them, you look at the fees that Harrisburg and Marion are getting ready to charge. They don't have anything set yet. It's a dire situation, dire time for school districts cutting back, and usually positions get cut, and then extracurriculars get cut, and then here we go. But it's scary what's going on right now, and we're looking at it from a sports view, not anything else. Sports only here on the Saturday Sports Show.
This has been brought to my attention many times on this topic as well as being a coach and being involved with this. Okay, now you implement fees. Little Billy pays the same amount, little Johnny pays the same amount. Shouldn't they play the same amount? Yeah, I mean, well, I mean, there's the can of worms that immediately that opens up for that parent or that fan who maybe is just starting into athletics through a high school program or something like that. They don't know the difference of the coaches still have to coach, but you know, it's hard to explain to them, okay, if we're paying the same, then shouldn't my child get the same playing time?
And you throw in that, and then, you know, the rules of free and reduced lunch, these kids don't have to pay. You throw in, maybe somebody will throw in money for these other kids. You throw in a pair of shoes. You throw in shirt. I mean, you know, it's going to be very interesting when these schools get policies down. We've heard of schools cutting buses to extracurricular activities at night. You know, where if it's after 5 p.m., there's not going to be a bus. You got to drive them there. You got to sign them in, sign them out. Lots of things going on as far as that. We'll get into that more and more. We'll talk about that's a school topic, of course. Locally, Street Machine Nationals going on. Was in Mount Vernon last night. People lined up and down Broadway here looking at Street Machine Nationals. Cars coming back into town. Of course, that's going on today and tomorrow in DuQuoin. Other things going on. A week ago, we sat here and saw and said Aaron Hernandez could be in some hot water. Nor did we think that the cops would come out and say, oh, my bad, our fault, things were going on. what a difference a week makes in his world. He goes from playing for the Patriots, living in a condo, to being released and up on a murder charge and whatever else. We're going to talk about that because the jersey exchange that's going on. The Patriots are asking people if you want to trade jerseys. You can trade a Hernandez jersey for another guy, which is a kind of cool thing that they're doing. They cut him immediately. We're going to talk about maybe youth of America that we talk about, kids in high school and grade school around here. We're also going to talk about the NBA draft was Thursday night. Very interesting stuff that went on. Major League Baseball. Halfway point, traditional halfway point coming up 4th of July. All-Star game the next week. And the first place Pittsburgh Pirates. Yes, it's not 1990 through 92. It's not 79. The Pirates are in first place. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the Hawks winning the Cup, beating Boston in what was one of the best Stanley Cup Finals series of all time. First thing, though, we got to do is take a break. And on the other side, we'll come back and talk Mount Vernon Rams Gridiron Football Club with Chris Curry. We'll get you caught up on some of the things that this group does to help out with the Mount Vernon Rams football program. You're listening to the Saturday Sports Show on WMIX.
When an emergency happens, time is everything, and you don't want to spend time in a waiting room. So choose Crossroads Community Hospital. With our 30 minutes or less ER service pledge, the entire team is committed to working diligently to have you initially seen by a physician within 30 minutes of your arrival. When minutes matter, choose the ER that doesn't waste time. Choose Crossroads Community Hospital. Visit crossroadscommunityhospital.com to learn more. If you are experiencing a medical emergency, call 911.
Hi, Roy Schmidt, Lincoln dealer at Ford Square, Mount Vernon. Lincoln is on a roll right now with the all-new 2013 Lincoln MKZ. This all-new luxury sedan is available with a retractable panoramic roof and the innovative push-button shift. And the best news is we have a vast selection to choose from. Crossover lovers, do not forget Lincoln's popular 2013 Lincoln MKX with the available THX2 certified audio system and Bliss Cross Traffic Alert. See both of these luxury vehicles at Ford Square, Mount Vernon to experience a Lincoln like never before. Lincoln, sometimes it's better to travel than to arrive. The best selection of Lincoln luxury is at Ford Square, Mount Vernon, 1501 Broadway in Mount Vernon, Illinois, or online at fordsquare.com.
Hi, this is Joe David Cummins, President of Community First Bank, asking why you bank with Community First Bank. Is it knowing your deposits are also vital to home loans in Jefferson County and our local economy? Is it having your choice of convenient locations and ATMs? Is it seeing a staff of friendly faces you recognize as your neighbors? These are all reasons enough to count, though you only need one, and we are honored you chose us. Community First Bank, welcome back to personal banking. Member FDIC.
Saturday Sports Show, brought to you by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
That's Mike Richardson. I'm Denny Zerwinski, and we begin. We know that it's the end of June, but 2 months from tomorrow, the Mount Vernon Rams football team will open up on the road at Rochester at 7 o'clock on a Friday night. But before they get to that, there's a lot of stuff that goes on and a lot of good things that happen with the Mount Vernon Rams football with the program, the Mount Vernon Rams Gridiron Football Club. Joining us today to talk about the Gridiron Football Club is Chris Curry. And Chris, how are you this morning?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you guys?
Well, doing fine here. And one thing we wanted to bring you on and talk about is the Gridiron Club. And in this day and age, we're going to talk about school cuts and athletics. It's very hard for football programs to get things done with the budgets that are being cut back on. But a good thing about the Gridiron Club is they help out in that regard. Talk about some of the things that the Mount Vernon Rams Gridiron Club does for the Mount Vernon football team.
Well, we run a few fundraisers throughout the year. We do purchase some equipment that is required for the football program to make the season a little bit easier for them. We purchased some of the cameras to help them out. The game or the play clocks that are out on the field, we purchased those a couple of years ago, and we do a lot of little odds and ends for the coach.
odds and ends. That's the thing I look at, too, in this day and age, is that you guys, when you go to the website at mtvrams.com, there's all kinds of things going on. You got Coach Shaner news, you got rosters, you got schedules, you talk about the coaching staff. So many interesting things on the website that you guys do a great job with to keep the public informed of what you guys are doing with the money that's being raised.
Well, that's the biggest thing we want to do. We want to be open. We're not-for-profit, of course. We're here for the football program. It is a very expensive sport to run. And all we can do is try to help ease the burden a little.
At Ram football games, you're going to see your booth set up. You sell a lot of memorabilia, obviously, with shirts and sweatshirts and different kinds of Mount Vernon Rams football stuff, and all that comes through with the fundraising during the year. It's kind of become a staple to see you guys there at football games. When you see that tent, it's like, hey, there's the Gridiron Club. They're at it again, aren't they?
Yep, we're at it every year. Matter of fact, we're just in the final stages of finishing the designs of the new apparel for this year. So we're pretty excited about it. Just hoping to have a good year and a good year for apparel sales, because all those proceeds go right back into the program, 100% of it.
100% goes to the team. And, of course, I'm looking here and ways for people to get involved. I know you have meetings. I saw your Twitter account a week or so ago had a meeting. Ways for people to get involved. If somebody was interested in helping out or donating, how would they be able to do that at this time?
They can contact me. All my contact information is on the website, but, of course, you can always email me at gridiron at mtvrams.com. And there's plenty of jobs throughout the entire year. I don't want to put it that way as a job. I mean, it's just helping the program. We always need help in our concession stand. We run the concession stand at every home game for freshman, JV, and varsity. And we sell the apparel at every home game for freshman, JV, and varsity. So a lot during the year is much needed.
50-50 sales, concessions, as you said, the chains and the sticks on the sidelines, admissions, and at the bottom it says, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I laugh at that because you never know what's going to pop up and crop up as far as things to do that can help out the Gridiron Club.
Unfortunately, you do not, and I learned that the hard way.
When you go into this year and the season's getting ready to come up, the Rams will be on the road the first 2 weeks at Rochester and Mascoutah, and then week 3 starts at home. What's the process between now and September, the first home game that the Gridiron Club will go through to get ready for the season, to get ready to go?
Well, right now, our membership forms have been mailed out, and if they have not received a membership form, again, they can go to mtvrams.com and print out a membership form and mail it to our P.O. box. The program ads have been mailed out for advertising in our program, so we'll get all that, and we'll get the program all finalized. We do the fall sports program. We do the entire program for the fall sports.
This year, go ahead.
As well as that, we have a couple more fundraisers just to help out the program coming up.
When will the next meeting of the Gridiron Club be, for those interested, maybe want to come out?
The next meeting is on every fourth Monday of the month, and I'm sorry I do not have that in front of me. I believe it's like July 22nd.
Okay. July 22nd, of course, you guys will be out there raising money. And I think people maybe understand but don't realize just how expensive football is when you're talking about 70, 80 kids, freshmen through senior or more or less, and all the equipment they have to go through. Do you guys help out with the purchase of that equipment, or is it more just a side of donating money for like food and drinks and stuff during and before and after games?
Yeah, the high school actually provides all the equipment. We do a lot of the other stuff. The providing the video cameras, the providing the food and the drinks after the game, any coaching apparel that's needed, and stuff like that. So we do a lot of extras.
One thing I noticed on here too, you have on your website the Mount Vernon Rams Junior Football Association. How much do you guys take a part in that?
We take a part a little bit. There's a lot. Everybody that's part of the Gridiron has been up through the JCSA football program. So we don't participate a whole lot with them, but everybody that's on the Gridiron member is a Gridiron member. Almost everybody has been through it. So we promote the JCSA football program quite a bit, and it is a great program for young kids.
Another thing I see on your website is the upcoming youth football camp on July 9th through the 11th. Coach Shaner and his staff going to be running. That's an important part because that's kind of where it grows, and not only for the kids to get involved in playing Mount Vernon Rams football, but for parents to get involved as well. And then that's your opportunity, I believe, for you guys to get future helpers in the Mount Vernon Gridiron Club.
Yeah, that just gets their foot in the door. As for the kids, it gives them the experience going into high school. The more we can teach them down in the youth football level, the better they're going to be once they get to high school, and the high school coaches don't have to spend as much time teaching the basic things. So we get the basics out of the way in the youth tackle program, by the way, which the sign-ups for that's going to be June 13th from 8 to 9, and then there'll be a mini camp after that. But it gets the basics out of the way for the high school program and allows them to build on what the youth program has done.
Well, we here at WMIX, we appreciate the Mount Vernon Gridiron Football Club, and we understand all the hard work that you guys do in fundraising and money and whatnot that you do before, during, and after the season. One final question for you, and I don't know if you've heard about this. We always ask our guests one final question, and it's our WMIX Sports Social Media Question of the Week. And this week's question is a little different, a little interesting. What was the first type of cell phone you ever owned?
Oh, boy. It was a Nokia. I know it did not have a color screen, and it was an old, the old LCD screens,
yes.
I think they were.
Uh-huh.
It was an old Nokia. I think I actually remember the model number was like a 5130. I thought I was pretty cool having that.
You mentioned Nokia because I remember they were the first ones out, and they had the old LCD, kind of a green-looking screen. Is that what you had?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, and I remember like you getting it, and I'm thinking, wow, look at this thing, technology at its finest, and being all excited. Now they got the, whatever else, but yeah, no color screen, kids. It was just a green LCD screen with the punch buttons. You could actually text. I remember that.
No texting on it.
Really?
No.
Huh. Yeah, see, I must have got later.
Texting.
Yeah, really. Yeah, we just thought we'd dust up the memory bank, see what everybody had back when, cell phone-wise. But anyway, hey, Chris, thanks for joining us this morning. We appreciate you and the Gridiron Club. We'll see you guys out there at football games all fall long. We appreciate the work you guys do both during and out of the season as well.
Well, thank you. We'll be out there all year. You'll be hearing a lot from the Gridiron here coming up.
That'll be good. Thanks for joining us this morning, Chris.
Thank you, guys.
That's Chris Curry, one of the leaders and runners of the Mount Vernon Gridiron Club. And, Mike, at this day and age, we'll talk about it later, sports teams can never have enough money, especially at the football level, because of all the equipment and things the high school football teams go through.
That is such a big expense, and one thing on the positive side for that is the fact that there are so many people involved with the Gridiron Club because there's so many kids involved with the football program. That always, because you always are leery about numbers. Anytime you want to try to do something, you might start out with several people, but really when it comes right down to it, how many people will be involved. And I know, having talked to many different members on the show here over the years, that they've really had a good response, and everybody pulls their own weight. The organizers always know that they're going to have a big helping hand with that organization because of so many kids and parents involved, and other people in the community too that doesn't even have kids going on at the time. So anytime you have those numbers like that, you really should be able to do some good things, and they have over the years for sure.
And they have over the years, and they'll have to keep it up and going because money is going to be hard to come by over the next few years to run sports programs as well. We need to take a break, and speaking of football, a cool thing going on in Southern Illinois tonight and locally about an alumni game. Stay tuned for more information on that. You're listening to the Saturday Sports Show on WMIX.
It happens every spring. You need a great quality, new-to-you vehicle. There's a reason why Second Chance Auto has been helping put families into affordable, dependable vehicles for over 32 years. Honest, fair deals. Ain't nothing fancy, just great vehicles with warranties. Honest deals and bank rate financing for all. That's the only way Second Chance Auto will do business. And you don't even have to leave your home to get credit approval. Call Second Chance Auto at 244-4582 and get pre-approved right over the phone. They know bad things can happen to good people. Second Chance Auto, Route 142 East in Mount Vernon. The Orthopedic Center of Southern Illinois proudly welcomes Dr. Brian Steinke to their medical staff. Dr. Steinke earned his medical degree at the University of Illinois in Chicago and has degrees in anatomy and physiology from UC Berkeley, and he brings prestigious credentials to the center. Dr. Steinke is a gifted physician and contributor to orthopedic textbooks. Call 618-242-3778 or visit their informative website at orthocenter-si.com.
I'm Kevin Snyder with a look at your next rad weather. Today, not quite as warm as recent days with sun and some clouds. A couple of afternoon showers and a thunderstorm with a high 77. Then a mostly cloudy night tonight. Could see a shower or thunderstorm in a few spots during the evening. Low of 60. A couple of showers and a thunderstorm mainly later in the day tomorrow. Otherwise, it will be mostly cloudy throughout the day with a high 74. Next rad weather from WMIX, Mount Vernon, Illinois.
Saturday Sports Show brought to you by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
Yeah, it's what healthcare should be.
That's Mike Richardson. I'm Denny Zerwinski. Summer is upon us, the end of June, heading into July. But another great thing about it is we can still talk high school football. Tonight in DuQuoin, a special event, a football reunion fundraiser for the DuQuoin football program takes place tonight. And joining us now is the man who's in charge of setting this up, Mr. John Kirby from DuQuoin, Illinois. John, how are you this morning?
Doing well, guys. How about yourselves?
I'm doing real well here. And something, obviously, in Southern Illinois, when you talk high school football and you say name a few teams, DuQuoin comes to mind with their tradition, 28 to 29 years in the playoffs. Something that, as a member, as a fan from Southern Illinois, and also for you from DuQuoin, something to be very proud of, the tradition and the history and the success that DuQuoin football has.
You just, when you bring up football, it's just DuQuoin's has been there for the last 28, 29 years now we have. I remember, actually, this is my bragging status, I'm an alum, because in 1984 we were on the first team that ever went to state, so we were like the springboard that started this event. And it's just been always a good time. I mean, you can't go wrong with it. It's always been a good sport.
And if I can remember right, now this is Dayton, that was a team that played AJ in the playoffs. 6-0 game.
We played AJ. We beat AJ in the regular season.
Yep.
We beat them 6-0, and then it was the shot heard around the world because they figured a lot of sportscast writers wrote up that they figured that was the state game, and we were both ranked first and second that year, and they figured whoever won it would win state, and of course we lost AJ 12-6, and AJ went on one state.
Yep, one state in 84, and I think in 80, that's where the string started for DuQuoin. And tonight, you're putting together something I think is pretty cool. Anytime you have a reunion of teams and players or programs and coaches, everybody gets to come back into town and play and talk about memories. And tonight, that's a special thing going on. I'm sure it's a weekend-long thing. Talk about what's going on tonight in DuQuoin for the DuQuoin football program.
Well, what we're going to do is tonight at 5, we're going to do a game, and we're bringing back Coach Bob Carnes, who's been the coach of DuQuoin since 1969 through 1988 when Al Martin took over the program from 88 to present. And we're going to have him on board, and both his sons are coming out, Jason and Jared Carnes. And Jared's a coach in Murfreesboro, and Jason is the head coach of Heron. And we're going to have them all together tonight, and we're going to do a little football game, old versus new. What we're taking is from 1980 to present, and we're doing odds versus evens game. And we're going to have Coach Martin coaching one side, hopefully, and Coach Carnes coaching the other for us. And we're just going to do that game. Then after the game, we're going to head to the VFW where we're having a fried chicken dinner, auction, 50-50. And we're going to have Speaker Fred Huff talk for a little bit. Mr. Huff was generous enough to donate us a signed football by the first Heisman Trophy winner, Jay Berwanger.
Good night.
The auction tonight.
Wow, that's big time. I looked on the Facebook website here checking things out. That starts at 5 p.m. at Van Meter Field. I mean, you go through the names, and you hear names of the guys that started this little run. Marty Nutter, D. O'Rourke. Yep. I remember listening to the games. Tim Davis. got into Trish Greenwood, into Scott Baxter, the Boyette boys, into Jason Carnes and Robbie Eaton and all them. It's just kind of funneled as it went through Jason James and on through the list. All these guys coming back, there's going to probably be some bragging rights going on at Van Meter for about an hour, isn't there?
That's why I set up to have the guys to show up at 3:30.
Yeah.
I said for players to show up at 3:30 and start getting ready, and that way we can get teams organized.
As I've said, I know some of those guys. Eric Saunders played on the 92 team as well. There's going to be some competition because there's going to be guys that will, once they step out there between the lines on that turf field, they're going to forget about it. The only thing that's different, though, for some of these guys is the fact that they used to be at Van Meter. By November, the old dirt was down the middle of the field on the slope. So some of these guys are getting on the field looking around going, wait a minute, what is this? Where's the brown dirt at in the middle of the field? Yeah,
I heard some guys that are excited to play on the turf. They're like tickled to death that they're getting to get out there again and play. And that's the other thing is, that's and I'm one of them. Like I didn't get to play after I finished high school, unfortunately, and it's just, and who doesn't would love to relive their past in one way and get to replay a game? Who doesn't think about it every once in a while? Man, if I could just get out there and play again. Well, that's what we're getting this opportunity for too.
And I think
that's these guys. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, go ahead. You go ahead first.
It's just giving them an opportunity to get out there and get to play again.
And you mentioned the fact after that game, it's only going to be an hour long. Of course, some of them will probably have turned the lights on for some of them because they'll get out there and want to brag. My team's better than you. 92 could beat 88, 84, all that stuff. But then you go to the VFW on the north side of town in DuQuoin. You got a big auction, as you mentioned, the football, the first ever Heisman Trophy winner. But I'm looking on the Facebook site, and there's over 30 gifts. 30 auction items going to be sent out today. I mean, that's a great turnout. And this money is going to go help the DuQuoin football program. We just had a member of the Mount Vernon Gridiron Football Club. In this day and age, you can never have too much money to run an athletic program, especially a football program at the high school level.
No, you can't. Just hypothetically, $500 can go a long way with these sports programs even. Just, so we're hoping, we're also got a shotgun, an 870 Express, that we're auctioning off, we're raffling off it as well. So we're just trying to do everything we possibly can to help the program out, to keep it going, as we say, or give a little breathing room or help the kids.
Speaking of helping the kids, that tonight, the game at 5 at Van Meter Field by the high school, the VFW located on the north side of town at 6 p.m. Public invited to help come out if anybody's driving through, especially with street machines going on. Is the public invited to come through and help out and raise money as well?
Yes.
Please. Go ahead.
Please come, people. It's going to be a good time. It's nothing but a big reunion, and the way this town is about football, I can't see why people wouldn't want to show up.
Speaking of that, do you think for the 5 o'clock start of that game, do you think there'll be some tailgaters out there kind of drumming up the old Saturday morning afternoon tradition?
I would love for it to happen.
Yeah.
We'll only know when we're there. I'd love to see it,
Well, that sickoitis kind of happens around there. You never know. Some of those guys, and I know. Final question for you, and we ask all our guests every week a final question, a social media question of the week. This week's question is, what was the first type of cell phone you ever owned?
Oh, my gosh. Oh, my goodness. It was just like a solid phone. It was no flip up. It was probably as large as my hand. It was probably a Samsung phone, I think is what it was. It was long. I remember that there was no flip up on it. It almost looked like a home phone.
We're talking about that. We've already had a Nokia with a non-colored screen. Some people mentioned bag phones, but we always like to ask that question, But yeah, that's kind of what we're getting here, and again, that's why we ask it. John, thanks for joining us. Good luck tonight. I know that alumni game is going to be something special with those guys running around, and then of course the big auction and fundraiser at the VFW north of town. Good luck, and good luck tonight in raising money and having fun and enjoy the festivities.
I appreciate you guys for the time, and thank you for your help.
Thank you. That's John Kirby. He's in charge of the DuQuoin football alumni game tonight. That'll start at 5 p.m. at Van Meter Field. They've got some great weather. It's not going to be atrociously hot. And then, of course, they'll go to the VFW on the north side of town to have the dinner and the fundraiser and the auction and things like that to help raise money for the DuQuoin football program. We need to take a break. We're going to talk to a guy that's going to play in that alumni game tonight and has been involved in that DuQuoin football program from a long, long time. And he's always a constant guest here on the Saturday Sports Show. You're listening to the Saturday Sports Show on WMIX.
When an emergency happens, time is everything, and you don't want to spend time in a waiting room. So choose Crossroads Community Hospital. With our 30 minutes or less ER service pledge, the entire team is committed to working diligently to have you initially seen by a physician within 30 minutes of your arrival. When minutes matter, choose the ER that doesn't waste time. Choose Crossroads Community Hospital. Visit crossroadscommunityhospital.com to learn more. If you are experiencing a medical emergency, call 911.
This is Chase Landers with Landers Collision Centers. It's been said that in order to grow, you have to change. Very rarely anymore do insurance companies ask the phrase to go out and get 3 estimates. The new phrase insurance companies are asking is, would you like to take your vehicle to one of our direct repair facilities? This is a way for your insurance company and collision repair center to help relieve the stress you may have from your unfortunate incident. And, as Landers Collision Centers has adapted to this forever-changing industry, we are extremely happy to announce that we are a direct repair facility for over 10 different insurance companies. It's likely that one of them is yours. From dealing with your insurance company, setting you up with a rental vehicle, lifetime warranty on repairs, and of course, Landers free lifetime detailing for qualified customers, Landers Collision Centers literally takes the stress from your incident and turns it back into a shiny new ride for you to enjoy again. Landers is here for you whenever you need us. Big or small, Landers fixes them all. 1-888-LANDERS. That's 1-888-LANDERS.
State Farm, this is Jessica.
Hey, Jessica, Jerry Newman. Does State Farm offer more discounts to more drivers?
Yep, like the good driver discount.
So it's for good, but not great drivers.
No, Jerry. There's also the multi-line discount.
For calling from multiple lines while driving.
You should never use a phone while driving.
I only make calls from my car when I'm stuck in a ditch or something.
Are you in a ditch?
Yes, I am.
State Farm offers more discounts to more drivers than any other insurance company. Get to a better state.
One more reason to call State Farm agent Tony Wilton Mount Vernon at 242-1421.
Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
Yeah, it's what healthcare should be.
Hey, the sponsor of the Saturday Sports Show, Denny's Whiskey with Mike Richardson. We'll continue along the road of high school football, the DuQuoin alumni game. And joining us now is a guy who is always welcome to join us on the show, a constant guest here on our Saturday Sports Show, the head coach of the Heron Football Tigers, Jason Carnes. And, Coach, I got to ask this. With this big alumni game tonight, you've probably been working out now for like 3 or 4 months getting ready for this?
Yeah, I just got back in from my 3 mile and my personal trainer, and already walked in the door when you called me.
With that going on tonight, we talk about this. You've had an interesting perspective of DuQuoin football. You grew up in it. Your dad coached. You also played on a 92 state title team. You're around it. Now you're coaching high school football at Heron. But the DuQuoin perspective, a kid in town that you grew up in, it just kind of becomes a part of you, ready to go out there and run on that field at Van Meter, doesn't at a young age.
Yeah, it's a big part of it growing up, even if you really didn't play football, just to be in the community, just how they've embraced football, since the late 60s, early 70s when my dad, started. It's just a way of life, and it's just something that, it's part of your life, and just it's a pride, and just, the community just is behind the football team and behind athletics, period, over there. And it's a thing that, it's talked about a lot when you mention DuQuoin. It's either football or kind of the street machine matches that are back in town. So that's kind of been a thing of 30, 40 years now.
And DuQuoin, I said 28 to 29 years in the playoffs. You were part of that run. Your dad obviously started it, and then the baton handed to Al Martin tonight. Your dad's going to be one of the coaches along with Al Martin tonight. I know he's helped you for many years. I think he's finally retired, allegedly. But the coolness of seeing your dad back on the sidelines tonight coaching guys that he coached 20, 30 years ago?
Oh, yeah. It's, when I started here 8 years ago as a head coach, this is my 8th year coming up, it's just to have him to,
the 6 out of 7 years being a head coach, to have him coach with me was just, anytime you can have somebody with experience, and on top of that, your father, getting a coach with your father was a blessing in disguise, something that growing up you didn't really think of down the road when you're, 16, 17-year-old kid, thinking one day you'll get to coach with your dad. But because, I don't know, my father's been a big part over there, and just, what a great role model he's been, not just for myself and my brothers, but just for the community, and probably touched thousands of lives over the years. And same thing with Coach Martin. I mean, you got two, to me, in my eyes, two of the finest, best coaches ever in the state of Illinois to coach in the same town, in the same, high school. 40-something years of only two head coaches. You don't have a turnover like that. You don't have a bunch of head coaches in a long span. Usually that program has the stability, and they touch thousands of lives, not just on and off the field, but that's what the biggest thing as being a head coach, Danny, was my dad always told me it wasn't really the wins and losses. It was 20, 30 years down the road, and guys calling you up saying, "Hey, Coach, I'm down in Texas now. I'm running my own business. Thanks a lot for back in 1974, what you did for me." That's what it's all about when you're coaching high school sports. And you can probably talk to a lot of coaches, they'll tell you that. But, my dad is just through and through. My parents, they just bleed red and black, and they just, love, Duke Point football. My dad graduated. He's originally born and raised Harrisburg, and originally was interviewed for a job right out of college in Harrisburg, and thought he was going to go back there. Didn't get it. That Duke got a job at Duke Point, assistant coach 1 year, then took over, and his first year coaching in, I think, 66, Don Stanhouse went 10-0. So, what a way to start off, kind of like, Coach Martin, his first year, takes over, he goes 14-0 in state championship.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's a lot of, expectations over there and a lot of things, but over the years, with just the community backing, the administration backing, the coaches, the stability of longevity of coaches, and, the talent. Man, there's been some, over 30, 40 years, you bring up some names, there's been some talent run through their town. It's not very big. They've done stuff the right way, and it's just a sense of pride that anywhere you go, it's, that's the hometown. I grew up there, and it's just, I was great and very blessed to be raised in the family I was, and to be around that, and just to grow up, over there. And it was it's very heartwarming.
I got to ask this. You coach, you're going to play tonight. Your dad's coming back to the sideline tonight. I got to ask this. How many plays has your mom drawn up for tonight, fancy trick plays, or if she brought out the old playbook just for one night only here at DuQuoin tonight?
I don't really think so. We've been awful busy. She's been, visiting my brother up in Minnesota. My younger brother got a new house in Murfreesboro, and been down there helping my mom and dad both. But I think it's going to be more laid back, but I would say when we meet before we get to the field or something, she's going to say the old razzle-dazzle play. She'll want my dad. I'm sure she's probably gave my dad a couple of notes already, posted notes this morning or something, while he's sitting out in the back. I'll probably listen right now, watching TV on his patio, probably drawing up some things. But, I think he's coaching the even number of years when you played the senior year, and Coach Martin's coaching the odd number of years.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know when you break it down. I don't know how many guys show up and, what years were the best. I think even number of years were, when you go back and look at success, it may have a little bit of an edge, but you don't know how many guys are going to show up. But it should be fun. It's something that, like they said on the TV the other night, kind of a reunion, get to see some guys. A little different. We got the turf, but, I don't know if number 80 will be there to go to. I think he's at a little fast-pitch softball tournament this weekend.
Really? See, I just texted him.
Throw him the ball. I don't know if he's, so I don't know. He's, I guess he's in the Terry Deering tournament, I think, in Petersville this weekend. So
Well, I texted him hoping he'd be there, but I got to ask this, because some of you guys, like your age group, up and through this new turn, well, before the new grass field was put in, are some of you guys going to be lost because you're going to go out on Van Meter Field and you'll be like, wait a minute, where's the crown, where's the dirt, where's the non-grass in the middle that we played on in the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, we played in, and it got better as the years went on, but it was just kind of the thing when you played at Van Meter Field over the years between the hash marks and the 2020. You didn't have much grass growing there. But, it's different being over there coach the last couple of years and being on turf. I'm a grass guy. I think football is played on grass and football is played outdoors, not indoors. So I'm kind of an old school, raised by Coach Carnes. But the bottom line is here that it's for fun, and it's a little fundraiser for them, and it just speaks the volumes of the football program. And you got some schools that are DuQuoin's an icon down here. Yep. It's kind of the program, and you kind of want your program to be like that. And just over the years to see how many guys have went on and played college football or college basketball or baseball, and just they've always done stuff the right way. And for me, besides my parents, with my dad and Coach Martin, for two guys that have done what they've done, is just like I said, I think they're the two best coaches in my eyes in the state of Illinois ever. And to be in the same program, it's just something that my values every day, Danny, that I go through and coach and do things in my everyday life is, pretty much on the way I was raised with my mom and dad, but, the values that were instilled by us when we were 16, 17, 18 years old under Coach Martin and the staff. So, I give them a lot of credit to where I am today, especially my parents. So it'll be fun tonight. I just hope everybody stays healthy. I don't want to get hurt because you might get some guys out there that are going to try to be like back in the high school days, but I hope we just throw a few passes and kind of take it easy tonight.
Hey, I talk about that. I was talking about with John Kirby previous to you. We were talking about laughing because, his 84 team kind of started this, he said, in this playoff run. You mentioned stability. Of course, your dad, and then, of course, Al Martin. Constant. Then you look at guys that have played there and now doing different things for the program. And you look at Shane Boyette, played on the 88 team. He's been an assistant coach for a long time. Keith Ellis has been there forever with Al Martin. You look at, on the radio side, Steve Merrick and Jeff Profit for years did radio. Now Jim Cravens does it. I mean, it's a constant and consistency goes on. You got Darnell down there on the sideline doing stats. Constant consistency with the program has led to the success, like you said, of winning over the years from not only on the field but off the field as well.
Oh, yeah. I mean, when you can get like you said, you mentioned those same of, to me, like to me growing up, like John Gross, he was a big part of my, where I am today, too. And I don't want to leave him out, but, Coach Gross, then all through junior high, then junior high coach, then gets up in high school and does what he does. And Keith Ellis been there forever with Coach Martin. They do things the right way, and that's kind of what they do. They teach everything. They teach their life lessons. And back when my dad was coaching, to have Coach Whitey Miller and Carol Dorner, that was a big fixture in DuQuoin football forever until both of them passed away. They were two guys that. My dad only had two assistant coaches, and for a long time it was just him and Coach Miller, Whitey Miller. But I remember growing up, guys, every weekend, the likes of Gary Glenzie and Noah Pineville just came over to the house and just being around football and just the camaraderie that coaches have. And like my dad said, with my staff, I got 7 other coaches. The camaraderie that you have now, back in the day when you first started, you had 1 or 2 coaches and you had to do everything. And it's just the stability and the longevity of coaches now. You know how it is, especially in the college ranks and everything else. Coaches stay for 5, 6, 7 years, and they're out and they go to the next level, and they go here and they go there. But, for DuQuoin, since the 60s, they haven't had too many turnovers of coaches, even assistant coaches. They do a great job. And, Coach Kretz was, one of my favorites that was there, John Kretz, that went on to Christopher and did a great job over there, and an athletic director. He was my basketball coach, and he was assistant football coach on the staff, and just, it speaks volumes, it really does, and it's just something that I hope it continues on. It's just something that the town, that's all they talk about. When it's over, they've got the countdown to the next year, and it's just, they've done stuff the right way for so long. It's just kind of, it's just the way to do things, and they do it the right way, and it's just, I'm very blessed and proud to say I was from DuQuoin, Illinois, and, raised my mother and father the way I was, and if you can keep stability in any job, anywhere, especially in high school sports, and you're doing something. So it speaks volumes. It really does.
When you guys get together, I know 88 and 92 are the teams everybody talks about. 94 finished second. There's other second-place finishers. You guys get together and say, hey, my team's better than yours. We could have beat you playing full scale. Does that go on?
I think there's always kind of been a talk of the 88, 92 team, but, it's just like anything else, like LeBron James, Michael Jordan. Times change a little bit, but there are some great teams at DuQuoin. When you look at some, I was very blessed to, like I said, grow up and go over there, and my dad's coaching and be on the sideline, and me and my younger brother playing with the dummies, stacking them up, probably getting in a little bit of trouble. Can't really say things on the air that we got in trouble for over there. But doing things growing up, just being around it, being in the, I can sit here right now, Danny, and tell you that when we were 5, 6 years old, my brother getting up on a table in the locker room singing Chantilly Lace with all the football players in the locker room after showers, and just things that, here I am 38 years old, that I can remember when I was 4, 5, 6 years old, that's planted a seed in me that's just, unspeakable, that you get to be around that situation and do things and just, to be able to play with my brother, my younger brother, Jared. He was on our state title team. He was a sophomore and was on the kickoff team. And to have my daddy, my older brother, took a year off in between medical school and coached on the sideline that year. He came back after graduating Brown University and SU Medical School and took a year off before he started his residency and got to coach and on the sideline to help. And just, a sense of pride. My dad retires and goes back and helps Coach Martin a few years. It's a thing that you just kind of can't get away from, And, the Hill brothers, the whole Hill family, Nick Hill and his brother, and then, their cousins Adam and Aaron, all of them that played, and then Nick's dad, Charles, was a heck of a player for my dad. And it's just, you got some names that guys that went through that have been pretty darn good football players, and it's, all credits to the coaches and the way they do things, and they're still kind of around and wanting their kids to play there, and a sense of pride. And, while I'm talking about that, for you guys, it was great about a month ago to work with you down here at the regional, and I want to, give kudos out to the Mount Vernon Ram baseball team. That was, class act when they were down, and a great year for them. So I'd like to tell you guys congratulations on that.
Well, thank you. We enjoy coming to Heron an awful lot. We look forward to all the times we get to come down to Heron and see you guys and, give each other a hard time about different things. So tonight, are you running the inverted bone, or are you going to run the shotgun, or what kind of offense
all I know is I got to go to, my son's got a 11U baseball tournament all day at Benton. You got to be up there, you got a game at 10, so I'm up there going to coach, and then my dad just told me the other day that we're supposed to be up around 3:30 to kind of walk through an offense, and the game starts at 5. And I told him I'd probably be a game time decision. Walk in, I'm going to probably get there about probably 4:30, and shouldn't be much. Just show me a couple of things what to do. But it's more fun. I don't really know. Maybe a competition, but I think just sitting around seeing some guys that maybe you haven't seen in a while. We got our year class reunions coming up this fall, so something like that. That I graduated in '93. It's nice to see some old friends and just see some of the football players that have went through, and most guys kind of keep in touch. It's just you go to a game on a Friday or Saturday afternoon in DuQuoin, like the last 15, 20 years, you seem to go back there to watch a game and stand in the end zone. It's just even guys that graduate, you seem to get back to watch the DuQuoin game just to see the interlocking DQ on the helmet, the black helmets with the DQ on there. It's just something that you can't get away from. It's just something that it's very humbling at the same time, and that's the thing too. They're not always, never been flashy. None of the coaches have been. They're very humble about the success from my father to Coach Martin. You're not going to meet two guys that really care about their record. You could probably ask both of them; they wouldn't know their record. They're both in the Hall of Fame. You got assistant coaches for the last 4 years that should be in the Hall of Fame. They went on just coaching, not on a record to get in the Hall of Fame. You got Hall of Fame assistant coaches over there that have just, have each other's back and do things the right way, like I said earlier. So it'll be fun, and I just appreciate you guys giving me a call and giving me a chance to be on your show. Like I said, you guys are great to work with back in the regional, and you always have been, and I appreciate you giving me an opportunity, and just really think you guys are a class act. And Mount Vernon baseball team was fun to watch, and their class act, and their coaching staff does a great job.
One last thing we got to do, we got to have some fun. We always ask one off-the-wall question. This week's question is, what was the first type of cell phone you ever owned?
First type of cell phone was that, I know my mom had the old box phone with the case that you plugged in, the original. But me, I had I don't remember the name, it was that little gray phone that kind of flipped the top, flipped the bottom, came out in a little plastic antenna.
Yeah.
I don't remember the name of that, but that little gray thing that it flipped up and flipped down, and then you had the little plastic antenna that came up and didn't last very
America
long.
is a nation on wheels.
Right, that was kind of what we were talking about. We just threw that out there this week, try to change some things up. But, Coach, we appreciate you being on. We'll have you on here in about 6-8 weeks, talk Heron Tiger football. But enjoy the day and enjoy that time where you get to reminisce some teammates and players you played with tonight at 5 o'clock in an alumni game.
I appreciate it, Danny. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you. That's Jason Carnes, the head coach of the Heron Tiger football team. Of course, he's on there, and he's coaches there. But, of course, he's involved tonight. He was a member of the 92 DuQuoin State football champions in Class 3A. He'll play tonight in that alumni game at 5 o'clock at Van Meter Field in DuQuoin. We're past our time on break. We need to take one. We'll come back and talk a little something before we start into the high school hardwood of basketball. You're listening to the Saturday Sports Show on WMIX.
More Americans are on the move today than ever before. One of the most popular modes of transportation is the motorcycle. Motorcycles take us to our jobs, school, to the beach, and all around the country. If you're a bike rider, your Pekin Insurance Agency, Page Insurance on Crownview in Mount Vernon, wants to make sure you have the best insurance protection while you're riding. Ask about the money-saving auto cycle discount and the experienced driver discount, too. Call Page Insurance at 242-7000 today about motorcycle insurance from Pekin Insurance.
When you hear the warm, inviting sound of a crackling fire, what comes to mind? A rustic campground? A cozy cabin? How about the new Good Samaritan Regional Health Center? Our new family lounges feature a lot of comforts you might not expect. Things like this. No, that's not a babbling brook or serene stream out in the countryside. It's a 2-story waterfall located right here at Good Samaritan. And that's not the only way we're raising the bar for patient comfort. We've added lush healing gardens, as well as wall after wall of beautiful artwork, all designed to create the perfect healing atmosphere. And if all this sounds like music to your ears, we encourage you to check us out. Chances are, we're not too far from where you are right now.
The new Good Samaritan Regional Health Center. Raising a hospital, raising the bar.
Southern Illinois now has a better home for sports. It's the all-new WMIXSports.com. Jam-packed with local scores, video highlights, and archives of every local sports broadcast on WMIX. Did your team win? Missed that game-winning shot last night? Didn't catch your favorite coach on the Saturday Sports Show? WMIXSports.com is right at your fingertips. On your computer, your smartphone, your tablet, or your video game console. It's the all-new WMIXSports.com. Another free service from Withers Broadcasting.
Saturday Sports Show brought to you by Crossroads Community Hospital, more than a hospital.
That's what healthcare should be.
That's Mike Richardson. I'm Denny Zerwinski. Avery Barton pushing the buttons in the studio, and Chris Hugo on assignment. And Mike, that alumni game tonight, DuQuoin's got going on. We talked a lot about it over the last half hour with John Kirby, who's running it. Of course, Jason Carnes participating in it. When you get together with guys or gals that you played sports with, whether it's junior high, high school, college, or whatever, it's a special time. You get to talk, reminisce, and catch up on things that are going on.
I can't state enough how exciting those things are. And the fans, it's always amazing. They want to look at you back when you were donning that uniform for real, you know. But the guys know that there are limitations in some things. And the sitting around and reminiscing and talking about, well, you remember this or you remember that, and there's nothing like it. I know one of the hardest things it was for me out of athletics as an adult was when I quit playing competitive softball and traveled around the Midwest, and it just comes to a point where, you know, the knees are gone, there's nothing left, and you don't miss the practicing and things like that, but you miss going to certain venues, and you know you had a fan base there. I miss going to Effingham on 4th of July and that monster tournament they would always have, and seeing different guys from around. So it's tough in one regard, but yet there's always something that's going to spark and stir up some memories when a group of guys get together and talk things over.
Talking things over, of course, you know, being around high school wise and, you know, seeing different people you played with, and of course, you know, now when you're older, you see guys you played against and change stories and what were you guys thinking, what were you guys doing, and kind of stuff like that, you know. That's another aspect of life as far as alumni games and whatnot. That alumni game going on at DuQuoin tonight at 5 o'clock for high school football. Their DuQuoin reunion is going to be the even number teams versus the odd number teams. And I think, like Coach Carnes says, going back to my memory bank, 86 was second, 88 was first, 92 was a first, 94 was a second. So if you go on that kind of string and take out the age ability, the even-numbered teams may have an advantage tonight, at least historically speaking, in that alumni game. We need to take another break. When we come back, we'll switch from the football field to the basketball hardwood. We're going to talk some girls' high school basketball after the break here on the Saturday Sports Show on WMIX.
Register for fall courses right now at Rend Lake College. Over 100 degree and certificate programs means Rend Lake College can put you on the fast track to a new career or continued education. RLC is more affordable than four-year universities and private schools, saving you thousands on your college education. Registration by appointment continues through July 26 with trained academic counselors who will keep you on the right track. Call Rend Lake College at 437-5321, 437-5321, or log on to rlc.edu.
Southern Illinois' home for news, talk, and America's best music. WMIX Mount Vernon, a free service from Withers Broadcasting.
The Medicine Shop in Mount Vernon would like to announce the grand opening of a custom compounding lab located right next door. What is compounding, you ask? Well, quite simply, it's working with your doctor to solve problems. Have you ever had an infant who couldn't keep antibiotics down? Compounding is formulating that drug into a suppository. Problem solved. Have you ever been nauseous and unable to take tablets? We can compound that anti-nausea drug into a cream you simply apply to the skin. Problem solved. Worried about side effects or risks associated with oral pain medication or hormone therapy? We can compound pain medications or hormone meds into a topical cream that will avoid most, if not all, of the risks and side effects. Problem solved. These are just a small sampling of our ability to better serve our patients. It's another way we at the Medicine Shop stand out from the competition. Give the staff at the Medicine Shop a call today.
I'm Kevin Snyder with a look at your next rad weather. Today, not quite as warm as recent days with sun and some clouds. A couple of afternoon showers and a thunderstorm with a high 77. Then a mostly cloudy night tonight. Could see a shower or thunderstorm in a few spots during the evening. Low of 60. A couple of showers and a thunderstorm mainly later in the day tomorrow. Otherwise, it will be mostly cloudy throughout the day with a high 74. Next rad weather from WMIX, Mount Vernon, Illinois.
Hour number 2 of the Saturday Sports Show, brought to you by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
That's what healthcare should be.
That's Mike Richardson. I'm Denny Zerwinski. It's time to switch to the high school hardwood. It's summer, but basketball goes all the time, it seems like. And joining us now to catch up on his SVW Lady Devils is the head coach, Rick Metcalf. Coach, how are you this morning?
Hey, doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, great season last year, regional final. This year's summer, got to see your team play a couple of games the other night at Benton. Looking like success is going to continue for your team as far as next season goes.
Yeah, we feel pretty good with what we have coming back and some of the new people. Feel like we got a good nucleus, and the future does look bright and special.
It looked bright, and I noticed the other night your team, this summer it's hard to take some things. You don't know who's here, who's not for any of the teams there, but your style of play hasn't changed much. Obviously, you've got a lot of experience returning. You lose a lot, but I think you got quite a bit of experience returning back from last year's team.
Right. We've got some girls that have started, 3 years, so they'll be 4-year starters, most notably Rachel Morrow. She's my team captain, as far as summer ball goes, and, I'm sure she'll be doing the same thing, leading us in the wintertime. Pretty much everything went through her all summer, and she didn't let us down at all. And then we have Maddie Garner, a point guard. She's doing really well for us, in summer ball. Michaela Williams, a small forward type. And then Davey Edmondson from Waltonville. Those will pretty much be the girls that lead us this summer.
And notice a lot of them played the other night. As far as the summer goes, I know we're at the end of June, heading into July. How much have you done this summer, and how much more do you have left on your summer schedule?
Well, first off, my hat's off to Andy Sloan over at Benton. He started this summer league up on Monday. We got 2 games on Monday nights, and he's thinking about expanding it maybe 2 nights, to get 4 games in a week, and that really helps us out a lot. With Ben being pretty much centrally located, everybody I talked to, they were real happy with that. But as far as summer ball goes, we went to a couple tournaments. Matt Happelman down in West Frankfort, he always runs a class act down there, and Coach Weinmiller over at McLeansboro, he had a little something. But
play a few open gyms, before we go to these tournaments. And then times are different. You got kids that got to work. If they're not working, they're going to class. So, back when I was younger, I used to try, I used to fight that. But now you just kind of go with the flow. Whoever shows up, and you just go from there. But we pretty much closed it down effective this week.
And when you talk about that, times have changed because, you remember, like I remember, summer basketball meant you go to UT Martin, play 2-3 days, play about 30-40 games, come home. That was summer. Nowadays, It's kind of like, you got to do it because everybody else is doing it. You've got to play and you've got to get your 20-25 contact days in because if you're not using them, somebody else is, and they're getting better while you're not in the gym.
Right. I actually have a quote from David Lee, a longtime coach from West Frankfort, above my computer when he retired years and years ago. He said in the newspaper article, it used to be, you did the summer ball to get ahead of people, and of course he was one of them that did that. Now you just do it to stay up with everybody. And throughout the years, summer ball, especially when I was a boys coach, I opened that gym up 4 nights a week, 2-3 hours a night. Of course, luckily I got a wife that understands, how that works. We'd have 30, 40 kids on any given night. You never knew who was going to walk in from the area. But, times are different. If you don't open that gym up for kids nowadays, you're not going to see too many kids out there playing at the park, like you used to. But, so, thank God for guys like Andy Sloan that does things like that.
When you talk about that, the change with boys, high school girls, how much a difference, if there is any, as far as boys and girls maybe getting together, the gym's opened up, getting a pickup game going? Is there any difference, or is it about the same these days?
Well, this is my third year coaching girls, and I haven't had any problems, getting the kids there that, don't have anything else going on. If they're working, vacations, things of that nature, going to class. Of course, you understand that. But we don't, the girls, they just don't blow it off for the sake of blowing it off. So in that respect, I think it's pretty much, in Chester anyway, it's the same as what boys, was. But, of course, not the numbers at all, like with the boys. But, I kind of feel it's pretty much the same. I get asked that question all the time, is there any difference between coaching boys and girls? Maybe I've, with the age thing, I've calmed down a little bit. Of course, I still get aggravated like everybody else does. But, I pretty much coach them the same way.
Your summer season's done, of course, and then the basketball season starts. For the Lady Devils, usually it's a Sparta tournament, and then, of course, Chester tournament, Frankfurt tournament, and then the Black Diamond schedule, non-conference. Everything schedule-wise pretty well the same, or have you made some different changes to that schedule?
Yeah, we changed a little bit. We were going over to Chester, and, no disrespect to the teams over there, but we were winning by 50, 60 points, going back in zones, and we just thought it was in our best interest, to get out of that tournament, and we're going down to Heron, around Christmas time and playing in that tournament over there. I think we signed a 2-year contract, so, I think that'll help us out in the long run. And besides that, the schedule remains the same.
Schedule remains the same, and of course that'll start with practice either in October or November. In the season, of course, we'll cover some SVW Lady Devil games on the showcase here at WMIX. Switching gears, totally different now because we call it our anchor leg guest. You're the last one we have on. We could talk a little bit longer with the anchor leg guests. What flag are you flying this week at the house? It's got to be a Chicago Blackhawks flag this week, right?
Well, you know that. Actually, I busted out the flag from a couple of years ago. It was kind of ratty at the end, but I got that thing up and flying proudly. They had the parade yesterday. I was watching it on Comcast. I think they had estimated about 60,000 people, were there for that. Everything was hunky-dory until the governor got out, and I don't think he got one clap. I think it was just 60,000 people booing him. But it was a good day.
That was a good day. Of course, that was cool to have the Blackhawks win again and then bring back the cup back to Chicago. For switching another gear a little bit, you're an NBA guy. You watch it kind of like I do pretty religiously. Your thoughts on this draft? Mike and I were just talking off the air. We had no clue where anybody was going, and we probably now still don't have a very good clue on what everybody was trying to do the other night in an NBA draft.
Well, just to put it in perspective, Cannon from Murray State, he was way down there in the second round. An announcer said on any typical draft he would have been 15, 20 spots up, but the draft was heavy with point guards. this is going to be one of those drafts where maybe your 18th or your 24th pick will end up being the best player in the draft. I do feel that. Don't know about how the Bulls did, with the 20th overall pick. The kid they got, the Snell kid, he fits into Tom Thibodeau's, defensive scheme of things. When you got a 7'9" wingspan and you're only 6'7", you're going to do some damage on the defensive end. But from what I've been told, and everything I've read, he's about 20 pounds underweight, so they're talking, maybe 2-3 years down the road for him, but he can flat out light it up as well. But, the Bulls have done pretty good as far as their scouting goes in that, so I think he'll fit in pretty good.
I think also in this draft, I don't think there was a, quote, just pure game-changing superstars out there. I think overall you're looking 2 to 3 years down the road to see how these guys are going to develop and fit in a system. It's just, I was just watching it, and I'd flip into some other things at times and would come back and get caught up on 2 or 3 picks. But, I mean, some of the people that were drafted and they're you had a lot of head scratching going on at times, and then some trades being made, and then this one guy, they said I don't know, he was like mid-30s, and I know you're to a stretching point at that time, but he was from Greece, and they said, well, the last time we seen him, he was out in college 3 years ago, and I'm like, boy, you're telling me you can't find somebody better that we've seen play that could fit on a team's roster like that. But I do think it's a developing situation. 2 or 3 years down the road, you're looking at players double digits scoring, maybe 7 or 8 rebounds, defensively learning how to play in the NBA. Maybe those are the guys that we'll be talking about down the road.
Well, with that being said, too, you always got to look forward a little bit. The 2014 class, to a scout, an NBA executive, they're saying this could be the strongest class in the history of the NBA, the 2014 class coming up. So the question then you got to ask yourself, some of these guys you're talking about that you're thinking 2, 3, 4 years down the road, are they even going to be on a team 2, 3, 4 years down the road because of what's coming in behind them? And with that being said, I get asked a lot because I'm a Boston Celtics guy. What all the crap that they've done over that way, with the trade over to Brooklyn. But what they're doing is they're putting themselves in position for the Wiggins boy out of Kansas. Is what they're doing. They want that number 1 pick for next year. Tracy McGrady-Type supposed to be the best player to come out of the league, in years. So, these guys just don't do this stuff on a whim. There's a rhyme and reason for everything that they do.
The last time the Celtics threw all their lottery balls into one basket, they blew up because they thought they had Tim Duncan lined up and didn't get him. He goes to the Spurs, and they got Ron Mercer and Chauncey Billups in that deal. I look at the Celtics. Doc Rivers leaves, or some connection. Some thought that maybe he gave up on the Celtics. He goes to the Clippers. There was thought that KG and Pierce were going to go out there. Then the league kind of frowned upon it, saying you don't want to trade a coach with players and everything else. So they end up with the Nets. Do you feel like the Nets are going to – I know I do. I think the Nets have thrown everything out the window to win within 2 years. But realistically, do you really think the Nets have a chance with a veteran guys, with older guys, and a coach that's never coached a game in his life? Do you really do anything next year or the year after?
Well, I look at that odds thing, and all of a sudden they moved up to second behind Miami, and I think, the Bulls and then the Pacers, are in that mix as far as, all your odds go. And then the Celtics dropped all the way down to 50-1 to win it next year. It all comes down to the owner of Brooklyn. I believe he's from Russia. And he made the comment when he got into it, he wants to win immediately. He's not thinking long term, at all. But they got an outside shot. If everything's lined up right, they stay healthy, and say, you hate to say this, but say someone goes down for Miami. All you got to do is have 1 out of 3 guys go down. And now it's done, you got a legit shot. And Dwayne Wade's not the most healthiest guy on the planet. So they do have a shot as far as that goes. 1 year, some people say 2. I can't see it. This is, I think this is it for Garnett. And Pierce, the way he plays, he can hang on for a few more years, but I don't think Garnett can.
And you look out west, and being a Laker fan, I'll personally drive Howard to an airport if he wants to leave L.A.
Right.
If you put,
he's major disappointment there.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he wants to be the big fish. He's already stated, and I was leery of that, hearing his first initial response when the Lakers were talking about him last year, and he said, well, George Mikan and Wilt Chamberlain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Shaquille O'Neal, boy, that's a hard act to follow. Well, when you got a professional athlete saying those things, that sends a red flag up to me anyway, and I just never thought that was going to be a good fit. He ends up going to Houston to pair up with Harden. Oklahoma City, they're doing everything right, being young, and health was the only demise of them this season. And, now we talk a little bit about Miami and their 3, which I think it's going to dwindle down to 2 next year. Right. But then San Antonio, their 3, what will that 3 look like next year also? So there's still a lot of power out west. You take your hats off to Miami, what they've done, and Brooklyn now going to try to do the same thing. But, boy, there's a lot of basketball out in the Western Conference.
Right. Howard's got to get in with of course, he can't create on his own. He's going to have a guard or two, to help him out that aren't too concerned about their shots, like what these guys deal with in L.A. He's got to touch the ball 20, 25 times to be effective. And the bottom line is, if he doesn't improve on his free throw percentage, he's not going to be able to play the last 5 minutes of the game.
Hey, Dwight Howard, to me, is the biggest prima donna going, because you don't know when or if he's going to change his mind, sticking his finger up there. He may end up back in L.A., he may end up in Houston, he may go to Golden State. Who knows? He may be with the Clippers when it all's said and done, because Chris Paul's another guy that has that issue. I mean, he ran out Vinny Del Negro after one of their best years they've ever had. So it's the NBA's prima donna. I guess it begins July 1st when the free agency period begins. But for you, Coach, we ask our final question. It's our social media question of the week, and this week's question is, what was the first type of cell phone you ever owned?
First type of cell phone, I think I got it in my hand. I think it's called an LG. It only cost me like $12 a month.
Right.
I was just kind of happy that it worked today, because it can't hold a charge. But along with that, I want to add one more note to you.
Okay.
Okay. What city has won more championships? Now, you should know this, Danny. What city has won more championships in hockey, basketball, football, and baseball than any other city in the world?
Well, it's going to be hard to decipher, because New York's going to have to be in the running.
Correct.
If you include them all, like soccer and the whole thing, it is New York.
If you include hockey, basketball, football, and baseball.
All right.
Those 4.
If you include only those 4, New York and Chicago got to be in the running.
Between those 2.
Have to be New
Notice,
York.
I did not say anything about St. Louis.
Right. Yeah, because, see, here's my thing on St. Louis right now, and a lot of people may get up in arms about this. The Blues are to the Cubs as the Blackhawks are to the Cardinals at this point.
Yeah, that'd be pretty good. I could see that.
The
only thing we got to get going, we got to get the Bears going a little bit. But yeah, from what they were talking about on TV on CNN the other day, it's Chicago.
Really?
Ranked number 1. Yeah.
Because of all the football championships, probably from the Bears in the 20s, 30s, 40s. Maybe. Interesting. Coach, hey, thanks for bringing that on to us and bringing that fact in. We'll talk about that. And, Coach, thanks for joining us. We'll have you on again, I'm sure, in the near future. And enjoy your summer. We'll get ready for SVW Lady Devils basketball in the winter.
Okay, thanks for having me on.
Thank you. That's Coach Rick Metcalf joining us now. And we'll take a break and come back, and we're going to talk a little bit. I don't know what that was, Avery. Don't look at me. I didn't touch anything. All I'm doing is talking. I heard that pop. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We're going to talk finance. We're going to talk money. Talk about cuts in local and area high schools. You're listening to the Saturday Sports Show on WMIX.
Hi, this is Joe David Cummins, President of Community First Bank, asking why you bank with Community First Bank. Is it knowing your deposits are also vital to home loans in Jefferson County and our local economy? Is it having your choice of convenient locations and ATMs? Is it seeing a staff of friendly faces you recognize as your neighbors? These are all reasons enough to count, though you only need one, and we are honored you chose us. Community First Bank, welcome back to personal banking. Member FDIC.
When an emergency happens, time is everything, and you don't want to spend time in a waiting room. So choose Crossroads Community Hospital. With our 30 minutes or less ER service pledge, the entire team is committed to working diligently to have you initially seen by a physician within 30 minutes of your arrival, when minutes matter. Choose the ER that doesn't waste time. Choose Crossroads Community Hospital. Visit crossroadscommunityhospital.com to learn more. If you are experiencing a medical emergency, call 911.
Saturday Sports Show brought to you by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
We are on the social media. You can follow us on Twitter at WMIX Sports. You can like us on Facebook, facebook.com/WMIX Sports. We just got our 500th like on WMIX Sports Facebook. We appreciate that. And we had a question today, our social media question of the week. What was the first type of cell phone you ever owned? Reese Barnfield, you're on the clock. First cell phone you ever owned?
Well, you see, it wasn't that long ago.
Okay, right.
So it was a Sony Ericsson, and I couldn't tell you the model, although it had a S500 or something in there, I think, and it was blue, and it was the best cell phone I ever had. That would have been around 06 or 07, and it was indestructible. I could not break it. I dropped it, kicked it, threw it. You know, it was my first cell phone, and it was probably 7th grade when I got my first cell phone.
Wow. I see the earlier ones are, I think, better at handling such things as dropping and kicking.
I think so. Had great reception. Cell phones nowadays don't.
Oh, no.
Terrible.
No. I wouldn't know anything about bad cell phones. Wink, wink, ha, ha. You know. Avery, you're awful quiet over there. What was your first cell phone?
My first real cell phone would have been the LG Chocolate. Like, I shared a phone with my dad for a couple years, which was lame, but, you know. I didn't originally have texting or internet or anything, and it kind of sucked, but yeah, it was a phone, so, yeah.
Isn't that amazing? LG, you had cell phones that didn't have internet, didn't have Twitter. I mean, 5 years ago, we didn't have Twitter or Facebook. What would the world have done, you know? Mike Richardson, your first ever cell phone.
Well, you're going back quite a ways. First phone I had business-wise, and actually was a bag phone that, you know, had to stay in your car. And at the time, you know, that's pretty cool because you can get away from a few calls if you don't want to take them at that time.
Right. That was back in the day, yeah.
But I think about 17 or 18 years ago, the StarTAC, I believe Motorola might have made it, the black flip phone like a phaser from Star Trek, had the little bitty antenna that popped out. It was pretty cool looking. And Avery reset it the right way. That was, as far as reception, non-dropped calls, that was probably the best phone. But you got to remember, that was just a phone. You had voicemail, but there was no texting, no internet, anything like that. But that was probably the best sounding, and as far as a phone went, it was probably the best phone I've ever had. Now, the new things you got now is totally different scenario. But as far as the very first, you know, I'm going all the way back to the StarTAC 17, 18 years ago.
My first cell phone, of course, you know, I'm older, like, you know, most people. 01 or 02, I bought it here in town. Won't say businesses or whatever. I guess it's now defunct First Cellular. I think that's where I got it. Over at where was that at? That was over. Where was that at, Avery?
It was in Kroger's, wasn't it?
Wasn't it by Kroger's, wasn't it? Yeah, that was the first
yeah.
cell phone I ever got. It was a Nokia with the green screen. And you couldn't do anything but call on it. And it was just like, oh my gosh, I have a cell phone. Now I can be really cool. And I think, like I said off the air, I think I still have every original cell phone I've used. Now, recently, in the last 6 months, I haven't had a real good run with a particular cell phone model. Won't say what or where. I don't want to run companies down. But I think I've got every cell phone somewhere in my house. And I think that'd be something maybe got time here during summer. Get them out, lay them side by side, and see the evolution of cell phones since I've had them. How crazy would that be when you look at them?
I know I've still got my bag phone. I know exactly where it is. And I don't have the StarTAC because at the particular time they wanted it traded in because it ended up being a company phone. But then the last few, even through my company, they didn't even want them back. You know, they were done, and through contractual time limitations, you could go ahead and keep them. So I've got the last couple, and it is amazing just on the size and obviously the features. Now, good grief, this thing that I got now is just, it's nuts. I mean, there's so many things, and I'm just probably the tip of the iceberg of the actual being able to use it, 100%. So I can do what I need to do with it business-wise and fun-wise, so I guess that's all that matters.
I remember the bag phones. Remember my mom and dad had a bag phone where you'd take it in and out with you, and it's a big bag, and you'd stick the magnetic antenna on top of the car, and it'd take 3 people to get the antenna off the car once you had it on there. I remember where cars came out and you had to have special antennas put in order to use them. Then you had the Zach Saved by the Bell phone. I want to say Franklin and Bash now because that's where he's at. But you know who I'm talking about, where you had that big old phone. Paul E. Heyman, wrestling lore, had that one he carried to the ring all the time. Looked like a axe as big as it was. And now you got phones that'll fit in the palm of your hand and whatnot and have everything else. We have talked about our first cell phones we ever had. We'd like to hear the answers from you. Go to Facebook.com/WMIX Sports and post your answer there. Like us there as well. Remember, we're also on Twitter at WMIX Sports. Bottom of the second hour, we'll come back. We've got, how many more breaks do we have left? 3? That's not bad. We'll come back. We're going to talk about a couple of topics. The first thing is some school cuts and then what involved with athletics. We know there's other important things out there that goes along with schools and the money crunch, but we're talking about it from an athletic perspective. We're going to mention some schools in Southern Illinois that have already made some changes and some that are rumored to make some. We'll talk about that after the break here on the Saturday Sports Show on WMIX.
Southern Illinois now has a better home for sports. It's the all-new WMIXsports.com. Jam-packed with local scores, video highlights, and archives of every local sports broadcast on WMIX. Did your team win? Missed that game-winning shot last night? Didn't catch your favorite coach on the Saturday Sports Show? WMIXsports.com is right at your fingertips. On your computer, your smartphone, your tablet, or your video game console. It's the all-new WMIXsports.com. Another free service from Withers Broadcasting.
This is Chase Landers with Landers Collision Centers. It's been said that in order to grow, you have to change. Very rarely anymore do insurance companies ask the phrase to go out and get 3 estimates. The new phrase insurance companies are asking is, would you like to take your vehicle to one of our direct repair facilities? This is a way for your insurance company and collision repair center to help relieve the stress you may have from your unfortunate incident. And, as Landers Collision Centers has adapted to this forever-changing industry, we are extremely happy to announce that we are a direct repair facility for over 10 different insurance companies. It's likely that one of them is yours. From dealing with your insurance company, setting you up with a rental vehicle, lifetime warranty on repairs, and of course, Landers free lifetime detailing for qualified customers, Landers Collision Centers literally takes the stress from your incident and turns it back into a shiny new ride for you to enjoy again. Landers is here for you whenever you need us. Big or small, Landers fixes them all. 1-888-LANDERS. That's 1-888-LANDERS.
Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital. That's Mike Richardson. I'm Danny Zerwinski. Saturday Sports Show every Saturday morning, 8:08 a.m. to 10 a.m. on AM 940, as well as online at WMIXsports.com. Thanks to our guest, Chris Curry, the Mount Vernon Rams Gridiron Club, John Kirby, who is the chairperson of the DuQuoin Alumni football game tonight in DuQuoin at 5 p.m. Jason Carnes, Heron High School football coach, DuQuoin alum, will play in that game tonight. And, of course, SVW head coach Rick Metcalf. Thank you for joining us this morning on the Saturday Sports Show. Mike, we go into a time of the year. Today's June 29th, tomorrow's June 30th. On Monday, July 1st, the fiscal year will begin anew for those financiers out there that talk about money and deal with money. And from the school sports perspective, a very difficult time. Money is short, if not none at all. Funding is being cut. Things are being cut. It's a very difficult time right now as far as extracurricular and speaking from what we're talking about, the athletics point of view.
Rick Metcalf even mentioned it earlier about the parade and celebration going on in Chicago during the run of the Stanley Cup by the Blackhawks, and everything was great until the governor come on, and it's bad. And I mean, it's media wide. It's newspaper, it's radio, it's TV. I mean, Illinois, we're a laughing stock. I mean, I don't know how to sugarcoat it. There is absolutely no way to do so. And then you just constantly hear of schools in the area and all around of the cuts that's going to be made, and teachers' jobs going to be lost, and all extracurricular activity. And the state will just come back and say, well, money's on the way. Well, we've heard that now for 3 years, and it's not on the way because there is no money to be on the way.
No.
I mean, that's the problem. And now you see it all the time, and it's getting grave. It really is.
80%, I think, is what a lot of schools are talking about getting back. Of course, there's the rumor and innuendo of schools like Cahokia who won't know until they get their state check how many sports they're going to have, which affects all kinds of things. A couple bigger schools, Marion and Harrisburg now. Harrisburg's been doing it for a while, but Marion recently adopted a policy where they're going to charge individuals to play sports. Now, they don't have all the logistics worked out of the rules and whatnot they're going to have. They're going to charge $75 a sport for each time sport you participate in. And they're going to cap that at $150 an individual and $250 a household. Well, the first thing comes to mind with me is, okay, if you have, brother-sister combination, I'll throw out the Verheins. This first thing comes to mind. Two brothers and a sister all in high school. You have that going on. They're also, you throw out, some will have to pay. If you are in free reduced lunch, you won't. What rules come in if you play to a certain point and decide to quit? Do you get your money back? All kinds of things Marion's still trying to work out. But in this day and age, if Marion and Harrisburg, the size of schools they are doing this, it won't be too much longer before other schools start to make these fee payments. That's why I'm interested to see how Marion writes all their rules for this sort of style of payment.
And there'll be a lot of people watching that as well because, when school starts, you're going to have to identify what sports that you're going to be willing to participate in. So something comes up I want to do too, and then I get hurt or injured and can't participate in one sport or get cut, academically or something like that. Do I get my money back? I mean, yeah, there's a lot of things in this. And, you worry that the fact that these schools are sort of bigger and they're pretty established schools and their size. If that's going on there, what happens with the smaller schools? It's going to be even crunched more now financially, from not having as much state money. There's going to be a lot of these that's going to have to follow suit in some way or have organizations that's going to be willing to do some fundraising to support the extracurricular activities.
That's going to save the Marion School District about $25,000. And as soon as everything starts settling down and they have everything in place, we'll get somebody on from Marion High School here on the Saturday Sports Show, talk about the logistics and the rules of what's going on. In other schools, of course, when you start talking about things, you start looking at school cuts. I mean, schools will cut back on things. And couple examples, I know some schools are cutting back transportation. If it's a school event at night, parents and whoever have to get the athletes to their games. They're saving on transportation. Another school district, South Central, just to our north, in the spring, their school board voted to eliminate all extracurricular transportation and all unfunded field trips. So they don't have any buses going anywhere. They eliminated 6th grade basketball, 5th and 6th grade cheerleading, frosh soft baseball and basketball. All assistant coaching positions are gone, meaning it's all volunteer at this point. There are no clubs. And a baseball school like South Central, they're going to have 12 games regular season in the fall with conference tournament. And in the spring, they're only going to be allowed to play 20 plus the state tournament series. The number of sports will be offered be 2 per gender at both high school and grade school. I mean, that's kind of things you're looking at, and you're also looking at, they also have athletic fees. Driver's ed to do that is $100. Athletic admission is going to be raised by $1. Passes by $5. Everybody's looking for a way to squeeze money out, and that's South Central cutting their athletics and raising their fees.
Yeah, and then you stop and think driver ed. Now you're going to have to pay for driver ed. I mean, I don't know what a driver ed program, I don't know how much it is outside of a school system. I would say logically it's more expensive than that, than $100, but yet, we've all in this room went through driver ed at our schools, and we didn't have to pay anything to do so. You just did it. But yeah, I mean, and then you're going to see it possibly at Gates. I mean, you could see regular season games $3 or $4 or $5 getting into ball games. This is it's just a trend that's going on, and it's just it's going to be tough on families. And you talk about the free and reduced lunch programs, how that's going to equate with any of this extracurricular activity as well. And again, it's going to boil down to a financial hardship on parents brothers and sisters and we had a show last week where we wanted all of our kids to be multiple sport people,
right?
And now we're getting this laid on us to where you might have to take out a small loan just to play sports in high school.
Yep. And then North Clay, member of the Midland Trail Conference, their board offered is going to only have 2 boys sports and 2 girls sports at both the high school and junior high level. There's going to be no transportation to athletics on behalf of the district, and students, community, and conferences involved are going to decide what sports are going to be chosen for a 2-year period. They voted to freeze any uniform purchases, limited the maximum number of miles traveled for non-conference competition. I think that's a big thing you're going to see is, you're going to see cuts because you can't save money just by cutting, something with $2,000 or whatever. You're going to see schools say, hey, we're not going to let you travel to wherever. And I think football will be an example where, Carlisle and Trenton West are going to play each other twice in a year. They're cutting back on costs. The days of seeing Mount Vernon going to Ohio, Rochester after this year, Chicago after, you're not going to see it anymore. I think you're going to have to save money. And we're going to keep track of that particular topic from here on out. July 1st is Monday. Schools are going to have board meetings in July and August. They're going to make decisions based on what monies are coming from the state, if any. And we're going to get more and more and hear more and more about that. We're going to have guests on talk about some of these schools with fees and whatnot. But that's a topic of school cuts and athletics we're going to keep track of because the new fiscal year starts on Monday. We need to take a break. When we come back, we'll jump into the national scene a little bit. A lot of stuff going on there in the last few minutes of the second hour. You're listening to the Saturday Sports Show on WMIX.
When an emergency happens, time is everything, and you don't want to spend time in a waiting room. So choose Crossroads Community Hospital. With our 30 minutes or less ER service pledge, the entire team is committed to working diligently to have you initially seen by a physician within 30 minutes of your arrival. When minutes matter, choose the ER that doesn't waste time. Choose Crossroads Community Hospital. Visit crossroadscommunityhospital.com to learn more. If you are experiencing a medical emergency, call 911.
Learn to live healthy, learn to live well, and learn how you can live free from unexpected medical expense with a major medical expense policy from Pekin Insurance and the Page Agency. Health insurance that covers hospital, medical, and surgical expenses offers a wide choice of deductibles and a non-tobacco user discount too. Rising medical costs don't have to be a problem with a major medical expense policy from Pekin Insurance. This is coverage we hope you'll never need, but you just can't be without. Call the Page Agency at 242-7000 about a major medical health insurance plan today.
I'm Kevin Snyder with a look at your next rad weather. Today, not quite as warm as recent days with sun and some clouds. Couple of afternoon showers and a thunderstorm with a high 77. Then a mostly cloudy night tonight. Could see a shower or thunderstorm in a few spots during the evening. Low of 60. Couple of showers and a thunderstorm mainly later in the day tomorrow. Otherwise, it will be mostly cloudy throughout the day with a high 74. Next rad weather from WMIX, Mount Vernon, Illinois.
Saturday Sports Show brought to you by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
That's Mike Rich. I'm Denny Zerwinski. And little car wash going on in Cessna today until 2 o'clock. Drive through town. You'll see a car wash going on. Appropriate with the Street Machine Nationals in town. We know everybody's heading out to DuQuoin. Of course, everybody come to Mount Vernon at night. Watch it. There's a ton of people out on Broadway on both sides of the road from the old, I call it the old Hardee's. The Hardee's out by the interstate all the way through here to Kmart. A lot of people out and about last night setting, of course, Street Machine Nationals in town. Going to see that. We talked about the financial cuts and the money. We'll talk more about that, as I said, as we go along. Don't forget on the social media, you can like us on Facebook, facebook.com/WMIX Sports. You can also follow us on Twitter at WMIX Sports. 1 week ago today, we briefly touched on national stuff. We mentioned the name Aaron Hernandez, who at the time was a New England Patriots tight end, was living at home. Some accusations were allegedly floating around, and I kind of made the comment. I said, I don't think a week from the day that the cops will come out and say, oops, our bad, our fault, we messed up. The police in that particular town in Massachusetts definitely did not do this week. Aaron Hernandez went from a week ago playing for the Patriots, making millions, living in a nice house, basically living the life that a lot of people dream of doing with the talent he has and the money and the abilities and the life and fame, to today being in jail, no bail. He has 6 charges against him, 5 gun-related, 1 is a murder charge. and allegedly he's maybe involved in other crimes in the Boston area. I mean, it has been a world turned upside down as far as him and what's been going on, the shock and awe of what has happened in that deal.
2 major crimes. They broke the story now that follow the same MO and the same patterns involved with this shooting and thing. And the sad part is that, you know, you can be on top of the world and you're living a double life, I guess it is. Your fans, your fan base, you're playing you're at the top of the world in the professional ranks of an NFL tight end. You've been to the playoffs, you've done it all, you've made the money, you're living the lifestyle, then boom, and one wrong decision, you know, that comes crumbling down. And you know, it's going to be now they've picked up a third person involved with this, so that makes him and 2 others. And we talked off air about, well, he's got enough money, he's going to have a great staff with him as far as on the bench. But the other 2 guys, those are the guys that's probably not going to have that luxury afforded to them. They could squeal a little bit. And anytime you can get that done, it's going to be bad for those people involved. And, you know, hey, if they all did it, they all deserve what they get, because, you know, a family and a person lost their life, and we don't know what's on the horizon. The more of these things and more accusations are popping up and more investigating's going on. And I think that's why they've been sort of tight-lipped about it the last few days, is because now a few other things are starting to link together, and this thing could snowball into something that we wouldn't even begin to dream it could happen.
I'll go on a limb and say, like last week, I don't think they're going to be this is our fault, a miscommunication. I think a week from the day, and it might take longer because obviously the judicial system from that side will take a little while, but I think a week from the day we might find more out of things that he's involved with. Of course, on the football side of things, which is what we concern ourselves with, within 2 hours of being walked out of the house with a T-shirt put over the top of him, he was released by the Patriots within 2 hours, less. Now, which I think is interesting, the Patriots have allowed you, if you have an Aaron Hernandez jersey, shirt, or otherwise, you can bring that to them, and they will exchange it for one of their current players. I think that's a big thing to do, and I think they knew and know lots about this situation for them to just cut a guy like that without even thinking twice.
In this day and age, when you're an athlete and you can get many, many opportunities, I can remember in the 70s and 80s with the drug scene in Major League Baseball, how many chances some of those guys got. I mean, 5, 6, 7, 8 chances. If you can play sport, there's always going to be a place for you. They're going to find a way to make that work, and they're going to have their head buried in the sand. In this regard, you know, Belichick and that organization, Mr. Kraft, they didn't want any part of this. And the best way to do it is cut total ties, and they did it. And I'm not sure I have ever heard of this promotion being done in any level of athletics to where you can bring a decent uniform, top, T-shirt, whatever, with his name on it, and exchange it for something new. That I'm not a big New England fan, but I tell you what, I gained a lot of respect for how they've handled this situation so far.
A situation where it makes you wonder. I know the NFL does a rookie symposium where they, talk to them about some of the choices they make, but it kind of makes you wonder maybe in the future at the junior high school level, especially maybe college. College might be too late, but the junior high and high school level, if people shouldn't come in and have a talk with some of these athletes that, hey, your choices you make in junior high and high school, which is what seems to be going on here, can affect you the rest of the time down the world, no matter how far you go in college and sports or life in general. We'll keep track of that story. Moving on to the MLB, of course, every Cardinal game on 94.1 FM WMIX all year long. The Cardinals have hit the skids a little bit. The Pittsburgh Pirates are in first place. Cardinals kind of slumping a little bit. Lost in Oakland last night. Have struggled with Houston and Florida, and now lose in Oakland. This might be where Mike Matheny earns his dollars, per se, as a manager, because when things are going well, everybody's a good manager. But when you have a team now starting to fade a little bit, maybe slump, and then who knows, they may win 10 in a row. I don't know. But you start doing that, this is where your managers earn their money, and that's where the Cardinals are at right now after getting off such a great start and the Pirates catching them.
Well, if I was a Cardinal fan, I think I would be a little concerned and a little bit worried. outside of a couple of hiccups with some starting pitching, most of all, they've been a healthy organization, players in the field, and they've had some monster years out of a few guys unexpected with Molina's batting average and also Carpenter's runs scored and his hits in the league and things of that nature. Their defense is always, a little questionable at times, but they have so much pitching, and especially young pitching, that they've been able to parade out there at all times through their farm system. So they've been relatively healthy and been having their way. But I think you got to be a little concerned. Cincinnati knocking on the door right behind, and they've had some injuries, and they're going to get healthy before long. Pittsburgh, this team's been sort of building. They've hovered around 500 the last couple of years. They were about 10 games over last year until they fell apart the last 8 weeks of the season. And they're young and hungry, and you got Andrew McCutcheon. Pedro Alvarez has made a total 180-degree change from third base, starting hitting the ball again. Walker at second. Marte's made a big difference with Pittsburgh in the outfield as well. So, and you get Garrett Cole, who comes up out of nowhere. I mean, they knew him, but starts off the season 4-0, get with a couple starts under his belt now. So, I think you got to be a little bit worried right now the way things are going. Pittsburgh, how far can they take this momentum? And St. Louis got a good team for sure. You can make up ground in the National League because you do have a few pansies on the schedule, but the Cardinals have struggled against some of them as well.
Have struggled as well. We're not struggling. We're going to take our final break of the show. When we come back, we'll wrap up the Saturday Sports Show for this final weekend in June here on WMIX.
When an emergency happens, time is everything, and you don't want to spend time in a waiting room. So choose Crossroads Community Hospital. With our 30 minutes or less ER service pledge, the entire team is committed to working diligently to have you initially seen by a physician within 30 minutes of your arrival. When minutes matter, choose the ER that doesn't waste time. Choose Crossroads Community Hospital. Visit crossroadscommunityhospital.com to learn more. If you are experiencing a medical emergency, call 911.
Even with summer here, there are not enough hours in the day. Whether it's a family vacation, the kids' camp, or a busier work day, we're all busy all the time. Hi, Roy Schmidt, President at King City Chrysler Center. Since we have started the Chrysler Express Lane service, our service business has increased dramatically, and our customers love it. Chrysler's Express Lane fast oil changes and more is very convenient at any time during the day. No appointment necessary. Just drive up and our Express Lane advisors will get your vehicle right in. Convenience is the name of the game at King City Chrysler's Express Lane oil changes and more. Come by and see us at 1603 Broadway in Mount Vernon, Illinois, and keep your vehicle in top running condition at King City Chrysler Center, where you can count on us.
Saturday Sports Show brought to you by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
What healthcare should be.
Let's get Mike Richardson alongside. Avery Barton pushing the buttons. Chris Hugo away on assignment. Thanks to our guests, Chris Curry, John Kirby, Jason Carnes, and Rick Metcalf. Street Machine Nationals today and tomorrow in DuQuoin. Also, the DuQuoin football alumni game night at 5 at Van Meter Field. We want to mention that thank you to Cesar Valera, Waltonville Woodlawn head football coach Johnny Hollis. He tweeted us this morning to let us know that the Cesar Valera Junior High cheerleaders are having a car wash at the Cesar Fire Station until 2 p.m. today. So if you want to help donate some money for another sport and help the Cesar Valera Junior High cheerleaders, stop by at the Cesar Fire Station there at the corner of 154 and 148 south of town, and you can get your car wash there at the fire station. Of course, we thank Cesar Valera head football coach Johnny Hollis for letting us know that. Wrapping it up here, the Saturday Sports Show. We talked about money. We talked about Everett. Next week will be July. We start wrapping July. Once July gets here, once July 4th happens, that school starts happening. Volleyball, fall sports start. Halfway through Major League Baseball, like I said, you start going up that coaster right about now. On July 4th, it starts going downhill. And here we go.
Yeah, we been in tune with the custodians and everybody in charge of Woodlawn Grade School on starting to work on the gym floors and stuff. We got a couple of more open gyms scheduled, and that's about it for the summer. And Coach Metcalf reiterated that same thing. So schools will be starting to work on their floors and gyms and getting them all tweaked and ready to go. And we give the timeline earlier in the show what happens when it starts rolling. I mean, it goes pretty quick, and you think you got a little bit of time, but it will be upon us before we know it.
It'll be upon us. And one of the things, too, you talk about with sports, I know, speaking of money, I just thought of this. I remember being told this week, is that Waterloo High School, they shut their school down on Fridays during the summer. So there is no lifting, there's no working out, there's no open gyms. You can't even go to the football, baseball, softball, track fields outside and use them. They shut down for a day to save money. And I mean, we don't need to harp on this and bring it up again, but this is something we're going to watch because, you know, what we do here is cover high school sports, and we cover games, and we talk about the game side of the school, you know, and it's a very tough business with what school administrators and school boards have to do and vote on. But you're looking at a lot of schools that there won't be JV games. When you start cutting freshman, sophomore programs, Mike, that loses the interest of the younger kids, and then those younger kids don't play, and then you don't have varsity programs, and that's kind of the scary situation as far as that goes.
Well, excuse me, we mentioned earlier one of the schools in the area possibly doing away with sixth grade basketball. That's unheard of. I just can't. I sat here and had a big lump in my throat when I heard that. You know, I mean, there's where it starts. There's where you need coaching. That's when you need a lot of help, and you've got to get kids' interest involved, and you've got to get that excitement started at a young age. And you know, we like second, third, and fourth grade to get going. You know, quite a bit. So. Wow, when you start here in sixth grade and then limited number of opportunities for grade school kids, and I mean, if that's the case, then that will prepare you for the high school situation if indeed it continues to fester. I want to use that word because I hope this just is a trend. I hope it's not a long-going thing. I hope it's just a short period thing, but it's not very optimistic when you live here in the state of Illinois.
No, and that's something, as I said, we'll watch over the next few weeks. We're going to have decisions made by people, and you're going to start seeing some things cut back and whatnot. And, of course, we'll keep track of that. And then in July, you start winding July around, and you have their full contact football camps for high school teams. You'll have that going on. Well, you know, we're going to try to get some more golf here in the next week or in the next couple of shows to talk about some of the people that work as far as the SIGA and maybe other tournaments as well. So even though it is July, even though things happen, the sports world never stops. We're always here every Saturday with a Saturday sports show with what's going on because you always have something going on. This week it's Aaron Hernandez. Next week you never know as far as sports goes in Southern Illinois and around the world. Of course,
and Avery's making a sport out of getting this cord fixed up here, trying to get all the kinks and the knots out of it. So this could be a Olympic sport, you know, maybe 4 years from now. I'm not exactly sure, but I like his form after he got that second knot out.
Right.
He went pretty smooth right then and there on that.
Once he got it done and wound it up very nicely and actually didn't tighten it up or somebody would get mad because it could get a short in it, he did a very good job.
Mm-hmm.
You're a trained professional, Avery. There's no doubt. Don't forget, you can follow us on the social media. We're on Facebook, facebook.com/WMIX Sports. We just went over the 500 like mark today. We appreciate everybody that likes us on Facebook, and we put some information out all the time, different things here and there. And you can also follow us on Twitter at WMIX Sports. We have all kinds of information we tweet out there as well. To our guests this morning, Chris Curry, a member of the Mount Vernon Rams Gridiron Football Club. Thanks for joining us, talking about that. To John Kirby, who is in charge and is the chairperson of the DuQuoin Alumni football game tonight. Jason Carnes, head coach of the Heron Football Tigers, will join us today. He's a DuQuoin alum to talk about the DuQuoin Alumni game and the tradition of DuQuoin he's lived through. And, of course, Rick Metcalf, the SVW head basketball coach. Mike, by the time we're wrapping up here, another 40 seconds or so, time we get back next week, 4th of July is here and done and ready to go in the middle of summer.
Yeah, everybody have a safe 4th of July, and look forward to talking to everybody again next Saturday, and give your responses on the website for the cell phones. And
yeah,
I'd say there'll be a few interesting ones coming along when they answer that truthfully.
Yep, Facebook.com/WMIX Sports. You can answer our social media question of the week. What was the type of the first cell phone that you ever owned? Post that answer there at Facebook.com/WMIX Sports. For everyone here at WMIX, thank you for listening to our listeners. Have a happy and safe 4th of July. For Avery Barton, Danny Zorinsky, and Mike Richardson, NBC News starts now.
America's best music and talk. AM 940 WMIX Mount Vernon, the Withers Broadcasting Station.